tea for this one because last night was a lot. 1 second. Where do I even begin? Because guys, you see here, the situation between Faith and Imisi, as much as it is very hilarious, at the same time, it's very annoying because, oh God. When you think about the whole situation as a viewer, right? On the one hand, you are very much entertained by the drama, right? By the chaos, because at the end of the day, that is what we signed up for. We want to see the buzz, we want to see the violence, we want to see the drama, we want to see everything, right? So you're very much entertained. You're having a good laugh, right? But on the other hand, when you think about it, you get to see the ridiculousness of it all. You get to see the absurdity of the entire situation, and then it begins to piss you off. Especially if you witnessed how everything started from the very beginning, right? And by very beginning, I'm not just referring to how these two people's relationship has evolved from the very get-go of the season. I am also referring to yesterday, the build-up yesterday. You see, I went onto social media and I saw how Imisi's fans were defending her once again, crying for pity, crying for pity votes, talking about, oh, she's a victim, she's getting bullied. The same old narrative that they always come onto social media to cry about, which is all a blatant lie, right? You get to see all of these reactions. You get to see all of this nonsense, this spun narratives that they put out there on social media. But then the good thing out of it all for me personally is, I always get to see the beginning of all of these drama. And so I am not fazed. And so I'm not one of those gullible people that will just buy everything they say hook, line, and sinker. And that is why we're having this video, ladies and gentlemen. Because on this video, I'm going to spill it all. How yesterday's drama between Imisi and Faith started, how there was a build-up, and how it all escalated last night. All right, so watch this video to the end. All right, do not skip out at any part. And I want to encourage you all to try as much as possible to keep an open mind. Try as much as possible to be objective. I know that you have your fave, it's fine, you will defend your fave as much as you want to, but try as much as possible to keep an open mind. All right, so that we can have a healthy conversation, okay? And of course, I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. But before we get into it, hi, you're all specially welcome to my channel. My name is Glory Elijah. This is Frankly Speaking with Glory Elijah, and I am the girl with the tea. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing I will say is that both Imisi and Faith were wrong. Yeah, they were both wrong. The only difference is that one has a higher degree of being wrong than the other, all right? But before I spill which person's wrongfulness or wrongful doing was higher than the other, let me give you all the details, all right? So yesterday, Faith emerged the head of house via the head of house challenger. Imisi obviously wasn't happy. She wasn't excited. And she did not fail to express how much she resented Faith. She had used the word hate, and that is not the first time. She hates the guy. She finds him repulsive. According to her, she cannot stand his presence. She cannot be in the same space with him. She hates him. And of course, it is because of the backstory between both of them. We all know the backstory, so there's no point going into it, right? Now, she already had prepared her mind. She had, alongside the likes of Doris, Denari, they had prepared their mind that because they do not like Faith, because they have issues with Faith, they were going to make his head of house reign a living hell, a disaster. Doris has started a smear campaign since yesterday morning. She had infected Denari, her boyfriend, with the bug. He had joined. Imisi's one had been there right from the arena. she had been very bitter about his head of house win. Yeah. So, after Faith had given his first head of house speech, and then that whole Thelma situation had happened. If you missed out on all of these details, guys, don't worry. I did like a lot of videos yesterday. Go ahead and check them out, all right, so that you can be up to speed. So after that whole Thelma situation had happened, Imisi was aggravated, like on Thelma's behalf. She was angry. She had a lot to say. You know, who is this one trying to control? This one trying to command. She was already spoiling for a fight. And for her, at any slight opportunity, she was going to attack. So for her, she was ready. She was ready to deal with Faith. And she wasn't going to be one of those housemates that will be obedient to his reign as head of house. So that has been established. Faith, on the other hand, of course, he's a new head of house. He's got his own leadership style, which in my opinion is great, because this is the 6th week now, and we have seen at least 5 different heads of house lead the house, and some of them did okay, others did very, very poorly. Why? Because in most cases, they allowed the opinions of their fellow housemates to truncate their authority as head of house. So for Faith, that wasn't going to happen in his regime. Also because this week is a very, very tight and inconvenient week for the entire house. This week is the week of the bare minimum. The housemates are literally scraping by. Everything they have as resources, they are not necessarily enough for everybody. So for him, he has to have a grip on everything, otherwise things will fall apart. All right. So he is trying to keep order in the house and ensure that everybody gets a fair share of every single supply that comes into the house. So for him, for that to be possible, there has to be order. There has to be law and order. Otherwise, as usual, some people are going to bully their way into getting more resources than other people, which is a brilliant idea. Now, to kickstart the new week, I'd mentioned in one of my videos that Faith had taken his time to clean the whole kitchen. By my own eyes, I had seen, the cameras are giving him that screen time. He had cleaned the whole kitchen, yeah? And he had done all the dirty dishes because the kitchen was a mess. He had told the housemates during his first head of house speech that they were going to have kitchen prefects that were going to monitor the hygiene in the kitchen. Now, before doing that, he had decided to go ahead to clean the kitchen himself so that they could start on a clean slate. And housemates saw him doing that. They were not going to say that they did not see him. They saw him doing that. Now, how did culture come into that whole mix? Culture's work that I saw with my own 2 eyes was him moving around, picking the empty plastic water bottles and drinks bottles that housemates have used and just literally abandoned at different points in the house. He picked them up, he recycled them, packed all of them. He was tidying things up. And so that was how he had actually assisted Faith. Now, just as much as he was recycling the empty containers, Culture was also doing some sort of restocking of the carbonated drinks in the fridge. And it was when he had gone to the Pepsi fridge that he had found Imisi's plate, the one that contained remnants of milk from the cereal she had had. And so he had removed it from the fridge for space to continue his restocking, and then he had put it in the sink. And as I mentioned before, obviously the plate looked like someone finished eating, did not want to wash their plate, and instead of putting it in the sink and washing it, they left it in the fridge, right? I mean, it's easy for anybody to misconstrue the purpose of that plate being inside the fridge. So Faith had, was having a conversation with Tracy about the Bbnaija, and then he had moved around the kitchen just to check that everything was still prim and proper. And that was when he had spotted the plate. So he had moved on to ask Culture, because it was both of them tidying up the kitchen anyways. He had gone to ask Culture if Culture saw who left the plate. And that was where Culture explained what I just explained. And where I fault Faith in that instance is that he should have told Culture that, okay, since she left the plate in the fridge, just wash it, right? Just wash it. He should have told Culture to wash it, because she left the plate in the fridge. Culture was the one that removed the plate from the fridge, right? So he should have told Culture to wash it. But now I'm thinking, okay, could it be that, oh, he's just giving Culture a pass because both of them had actually cleaned the kitchen together? Could that be the case? But if you think about it, I personally feel like that still wasn't an excuse. So Faith had gone out to the garden, went to meet Imisi by the poolside where she was. She had just woken up from a nap. And then he went to her, explained the same thing to her, that, oh, Culture saw your plate in the fridge, she removed it, He did not know that you needed the cereal milk or something. Imisi was explaining that, oh, that there was something inside, that she put the milk in the fridge, left it in the plate. And Faith said, okay, it's in the sink now. Do you want him to put it back in the fridge? And she said, there's no use, like, what's the point? So he said, okay, please come and wash your plate. And that was where Imisi said she just woke up from a nap. Faith was like, okay, how long do you need? And then she's like, I don't know time. I don't know how long I need. And Faith, it was now resorting into a back and forth. At that point in time, Faith was getting irritated. Imisi obviously was deliberately, provoking him with her responses, which is a typical thing that she does. Faith himself was getting aggravated. At that point, Kola was holding Faith's hand, trying to beg him not to talk too much, So Faith told Imisi that, okay, here's what's going to happen. There's 1 hour before the live nomination show. If by the end of the live nomination show, you've not washed the plate, there's going to be a problem. And Imisi said, okay, fine, I want to see that problem. For her, she was ready for the fight. Now, what was Imisi's fault in that instance? Imisi enjoys provoking Faith. Imisi enjoys doing anything that will unsettle Faith. Now, I've spotted out Faith's own fault in that situation, yeah? But this is the typical thing that Imisi does. Imisi always wants to push Faith to see what he would do. She always dares him, like, do your worst, because she knows that in that house, there's only just so much a housemate can do. You can only get angry, but you can't go physically violent, or you can't chase the person out of the house. It's not in any housemate's power. So her fault in that instance was, fine, you just woke up from sleep. Even though you're not on good terms with this person, at least respect the fact that the person is the head of house. When he asked you to come and wash the plate, just say, okay, please just give me like 5 minutes, okay? Let me reboot my system. I just woke up. I'll come and wash the plate. Simple and short. If Imisi had said that, I'm very sure that Faith would have walked away, because that was what he was asking for. Okay, how long do you need? And I understood where Faith was coming from in that instance, because they had taken time to clean the kitchen, guys. If you had seen the kitchen when it was a mess yesterday morning and afternoon, you understand why Faith really wanted her to wash her plate so that the kitchen will be completely rid of any single mess. And because it's not the first time Imisi is doing it, Faith will say, okay, you have to do this thing. Not like a command or an instruction, but a request, polite request. And she'll be like, I don't have time. When I have time, I will do it. She's very flippant and dismissive like that. So it was the same thing she did. So she kept on saying to Kola that she wants to see what he will do. Now, Kola was laughing. And that's the thing about Kola. When it comes to Imisi, misbehaving and doing whatever, he enables her. It's like he wants to see the drama unfold so that if he gets violent, somebody will go home. So he never ever likes to interfere. But then later on yesterday evening, during the sorting out of their food supplies, Kola had to intervene. Kola had to intervene at some point, yes. Now, fast forward to after the live nomination show. Big Brother had supplied the house with their basic food supplies for the week. And ladies and gentlemen, it was literally like half of their usual supply if they had won their wager last week. So a lot of the housemates were not happy. Faith himself as well was not happy, because how are they going to do it? So they needed to sort it out so that it will go around for everybody. And by everybody, guys, let's not forget that there are the likes of Imisi, Isabella, and Joanna that says that they want to be cooking their own personal meals. They do not want to join the general house in eating the same thing that the general house eats. I think Thelma is also part of that group of people that wants to, cook their own personal meals. And guys, the whole situation is kind of crazy now, because There's no more gas for them to use. So now they are using local traditional stoves that comes with kerosene, or rather that works with kerosene. And then they're also using something they call, what do they call this thing? Oh, guys, I've forgotten the name, but it's for charcoal. Yes, it's a charcoal pot. That is what they now have to use just for the purpose of the theme of the week. Yeah, so it's really a bare minimum week. I mean, to the T, to the absolute T. So they were trying to sort out the food supplies, and right there and there, you could see the way Imisi was staring at Faith with dagger eyes. For her, she still had it in mind to disrupt whatever organization Faith was trying to achieve. You could see that she was planning something. Now, what I do not understand, as another element to that whole situation at that point in time, was Kola's role in everything. Because whilst the whole thing was happening, all the housemates were gathered. Faith had appointed 3 chefs that would be in charge of everything. That's the food, the cooking and all. Imisi and Kola, they had moved to the kitchen. But before they moved to the kitchen, Imisi had a clash with Joanna, which was entirely Imisi's fault. Her lashing out at Joanna unprovoked and telling Joanna, shut up. When they talk, don't talk. Like, when I'm talking, don't talk. Like, I don't understand, from where to where. Who are you? And of course, Joanna is not a pushover. She's not the type of person that you will tell shut up and talk her down and then she'll keep quiet. So Joanna, of course, fired back at Imisi. And Imisi has a thing of, like all these Assyrian rats, they bite you and then they blow breeze and, they want to run away. That was exactly how she was behaving, acting like she wasn't doing anything. And because Joanna's voice was louder, she made it look like Joanna was attacking her unprovoked. Now, that one happened. And then not long afterwards, Imisi and Kola, they moved away and they went to the kitchen. The cameras were just following them. They moved to the kitchen. We don't know what they both discussed. We don't know. And I'm not going to try to insinuate anything. But the moment both of them came back, they were by the pool table side talking. Now, at that point in time, they were sharing bread to people. They were pairing people up for loaves of bread, right? So the process was, you will write your name with the person you're actually sharing that loaf of bread with, and then you will take the bread for easy organization. And everybody was abiding by the rules and everything was going smoothly. It was at that point that Big Soso was calling out to Isabella, who was writing her punishment on the snooker board, that, Isabella, have you had your bread? Who are you pairing with? And then she had also called Imisi. Imisi, have you had bread? Who are you pairing with? She did not say, Imisi, come and carry bread. She asked, have you carried bread? Who are you pairing with? Imisi said, oh, Kola. And then she just came and grabbed the bread and walked away. And that provoked Faith all over again. Because Faith was like, what are you doing? Bring back the bread. And Imisi, of course, a typical self. Why should I bring back the bread? I'm not bringing back the bread. Da, 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 da. And Faith was like, bring back the bread. You should bring back the bread. You are not following the protocol. We have a protocol of doing all of these things for easy organization and the identification of everybody that has food. Bring back the bread. Come and sign your name with whoever you are pairing up with. Imisi refused. And before we knew it, she put the bread under her shirt, which, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, was just very disgusting. Very disgusting. God forbid, that was just disgusting. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And it's not because it is Imisi. I mean, that is food. You do not put food under your clothes. I don't understand. Are you from the bush? You don't put food like that under your clothes. And it was just very unsettling, right? And the back and forth continued, and Faith was so aggravated that he told her, okay, if you don't drop this bread, that is going to be the last food you eat out of this pile. And Imisi was daring him, you do your worst. How dare you? Do your worst. She refused to drop the bread. Now, other housemates, of course, they enjoyed the chaos. So some people were laughing. Some people were telling Imisi, drop the bread. Kola was now getting very angry because the guy is under pressure. He has this very, very painful punishment that he's serving by writing and bending over, no appropriate furniture to sit down and do this writing. So he was already stressed out. So he was now very angry, and he was now, initially was begging Imisi to drop the bread. She refused, and then he started scolding her, like, I'm sick and tired of this, your bullshit. Drop the bread, what's wrong with you? He was shouting at her. And after a lot of scolding and scolding and scolding, she now, removed the bread. And then she said she and Kola, they were pairing up. Kola was so upset. They went to the garden and Kola was still scolding her, but he wasn't really seriously scolding her because, he was laughing and scolding her. Menson too was laughing about the whole situation. The situation was kind of funny, but it was also very, very, annoying to watch. So that one happened. And then Faith realized that, I think later on, he realized that Imisi had not washed her plate. So he had gone to the garden to try to talk to her, but she said she wasn't interested in anything he had to say. So he had left. Out of anger, he went into the house and he had told K-Bobo and Big Soso that if Imisi comes to take any food from the house, that they should not allow it until she washes her plate and abides by the rules of the house. Now, I'm going to make a comment about that. But before that one happened, Imisi was still insulting Joanna, saying, Faith's deputy, you want to come and be sharing power with me, rubbish. Even shaming Joanna's beauty queen's title, insulting Joanna. So Joanna got so upset and was, in return, shouting back at Imisi and insulting her that she has a low IQ. She's not going to reduce her own IQ by talking to someone with a low IQ. And guys, you can't even blame her, because I saw some of Imisi's fans talking about, they're insulting Imisi that she's an illiterate. And I'm thinking, you people, are you watching the back of your TVs? Because whenever this your so-called fave, whenever she does anything, you call it entertainment. You turn a blind eye to it. You giggle and you laugh out of excitement that, she's tickling your fancy. But when the other person at the receiving end of her nonsense retaliates, you people call it bullying. Like, make it make sense. Isn't that ridiculous? So, it was afterwards, much later, that whole Faith thing happened, that he went to tell her to go and wash her plate. And she still did not want to go and wash it. And then he gave the instruction that he gave. Now, I have a problem with Faith's, instruction. Because the truth is, no matter what happens between housemates in the house, you cannot threaten a housemate or resort to trying to weaponize food as, as your own way of getting back at the housemate. I will never be in support of that. Imisi is not innocent in this regard. She's a provocateur, as we have all concluded. She's very, very annoying, very provocative. She acts very, very irrational, very unreasonable. I get it. But I feel like Faith shot himself in the leg by giving such an instruction as the head of house that she should not be allowed to eat. So what does he think is going to happen? That Imisi is going to starve in the house and Big Brother is going to watch it happen? Or the viewers are going to keep quiet about it and say, okay, fine, it's fair? No, it can never be fair. And he should never have made such a bold instruction, because that was wrong on all levels. I believe that there were other ways that Faith could have handled it, because I understood that at that point he was very upset and he needed to say something that would really get into her head. And there's a possibility that he wasn't even serious at all, to be very honest, because it's not like Imisi would want to eat food and he would go and get the food from her mouth. No, I believe that he was trying to provoke her just as much as she had been provoking him all day. But then again, food is a very sensitive issue. You do not use food to try to retaliate against someone. You do not try to use starvation tactics to try to retaliate against someone. That is way, 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 way low below the belt. And no matter how right you are, the viewers will not want to see your own perspective at that point in time. At that point in time, you will be seen as the villain and not the victim in that whole situation. Now, remember, I had mentioned earlier on this video that these housemates, when two people are fighting, most of the time they don't want to separate, because of course for them, they enjoy it, they laugh, and sometimes it's an opportunity to eliminate someone. If things get out of hand, there's a possibility that someone will definitely break the rules and possibly get eliminated, or probably get a strike or double strikes. So when Faith was giving that instruction to K-Bobo and Big Soso in the kitchen, they were both agreeing with him, especially K-Bobo. He was saying that, oh yes, he understands what Faith is doing, that he totally agrees. Imisi is his friend, but she has some very, very bad characters that she's always, always frustrating their efforts in the kitchen. So he's solidly behind Faith. But not long afterwards, K-Bobo had gone to the garden to go sit with Thelma and Imisi, and I'm sure it was the one that told Imisi that, oh, the head of house said that you will not eat food though. You know, the way he had passed on the message, and boom, before we knew it, Imisi went crazy and was threatening fire and brimstone, shouting at Faith, dragging him, saying all manner of demeaning and crazy things, and then she was threatening that if she does not eat in the house, that she's going to make sure nobody in the house eats. She's going to pour kerosene in the food and nobody will eat. And then they said, okay, what if they use charcoal to cook? She said she will step on the food, she will match it and match it and match it. Like she was threatening everything, and she was going on and on and on, just spiraling out of control. Now, Faith, on the other hand, was sat at the far end of the garden by the poolside and was just smiling and watching everything unfold. So he was having a conversation with Zita, who of course is his friend. And guys, I feel like Zita feels very uncomfortable being friends with Faith because she recognizes that she might also be a threat she might be a target in the house because she's friends with Faith. His ways are very unconventional and very, very stern and strict. So she doesn't want to catch a stray bullet. So she was trying to talk him out of whatever is happening. And Faith was trying to explain himself, but she was not listening at that point in time. Although she was trying to be very demure about it, you know, and then she was asking him, oh, why do you want to win the wager? Which was a very, I'm sorry, but it was just a very dumb question. That she was trying to make it look like it was very, very competitive. So the conversation was not flowing because Zita, of course, was very uncomfortable. And she didn't want to make it look like she was ungrateful that he had used his veto power to save her. So you could sense that she was uncomfortable sitting there with him. But anyways, that one had happened. And later on, Faith had gone into the house to have a conversation with K-Bobo, who was only the recent head of house, you know, from last week. And they had a lengthy conversation, which was a very beautiful conversation, by the ways. And K-Bobo had advised him, brilliant advice, that, you know what, in this house, there's nothing to it. You know, you are the head of house. There are definitely people that want to frustrate your effort. And it's very obvious that Imisi has set herself out to frustrate you and to ruin your regime. So, shebi it's one plate. Call me or call somebody else, I'll wash it. But just avoid her, because she's going to continue and continue and continue. And you are not the type of person that wants to continue with her. So, to avoid anybody staining your whites, just ignore her. And what he said was actually correct. That if you ignore Imisi, she has no ammunitions against you. And the same thing with Joanna. Joanna came into the conversation. Culture also came into the conversation. And Joanna was like, no, that for her, she's not going to give the girl highlights. You know, she's just going to ignore the girl. But she has said her piece. She has said what she wants to say. But she's going to try as much as possible not to give Imisi highlights. So the conversation went on for a bit. And of course, Faith had his concerns. And he kept on pointing them out. That what he's trying to avoid is for Imisi to get away with this one. And the people are now going to have this notion that he's afraid of Imisi. And so he allowed her to get away with messing up the kitchen with her plate. So they too might want to do the same thing, which makes a lot of sense. But Rude Boy still advised him that when it comes to Imisi's matter, he should just avoid her. You know, say what you want to say and avoid. Or better still, say what you want to say and go report to Big Brother. Don't stand there entertaining anything that she has to say so that she does not ruin your regime. And then he reminded Faith that, listen, everybody here, they're acting as if they care. Nobody cares about you here. That it was the same thing that they did to him last week. And he had to advise himself that, nah, it's not worth it. So he should not even give himself any headache over these people, you know. So Faith appreciated him and Culture for all the advice. And I really do hope that Faith will accept the advice and use it judiciously for himself this week. Because Imisi's plans is to sabotage everything that Faith does this week. And worse still is that both of them are in the same team for their wager task. So it's going to be a very, very long week for Faith. Yes. So as I said before, he fucked up by threatening her not to eat any food out of the supplies they have. But I hope you all have seen where he is coming from and where Imisi's motive is also stemming from. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this video right here because I just thought I should give everybody clarity about that whole situation, because I'm sick and tired of hearing the victim pleads, the victim cries, the nonsense that Imisi's fans are always shouting about. Where your Faith is wrong, point out they are wrong. Faith had his own fault. I pointed it out. You Imisi's fans, you should also be able to point out your fave's wrongs, because your fave is a certified instigator, a certified provocator. Your fave is unhinged. Yeah, deliberately unhinged. Calculatively, deliberately, premeditatedly unhinged. So you cannot give her a pass and say that everything she's doing is for entertainment only. Why don't you look at it this way? Everybody else is doing whatever they are doing for entertainment. Your fave is no saint. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking because I would love to hear from all of you. So please go ahead, share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll see you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day.